LeBron James is responsible. LeBron James have his foundation with his NBA players that they represent. He won't let his players go to the Brooklyn Nets. Certain players that they want with their agency that they represent, that he's a part of, which is really collusion. An active NBA player should not have something to do with a representation of a sports agency. That, to me, that's collusion. Jay-Z couldn't have stock in the Brooklyn Nets and be in a sports agency. They call that a conflict of interest. But you got an NBA player who's actively playing basketball, a part of a sports agency that represents other players. That's not a conflict of interest? How is that not? Matter of fact, that's worse. That is actually worse. Now, you got LeBron James, who won't let his players, none of LeBron James players they play for the Miami Heat. And he won't let any of them play for the Miami Heat. He won't let any of his represented players play for Phil Jackson and the New York Knicks. So, if this is, how can he even make that decision? He's not a mastermind. He's criminalized the game of basketball. And you guys are going to sit there and let him get away with it.
What's up, YouTube? That video right there was by a dude named Carcino for Life. That's his YouTube page. He's very entertaining when he gives stories, and some of them seem to be historical, accurate stories, you know what I mean, about NBA players and football players, athletes, celebrities, and that such. A lot of hip-hop info, and I'm subscribed to him. And like I said, with anyone else I listen to, I generally don't accept everything that they say. And it's kind of like almost Stephen A. Smithish. Like, I like Stephen A. You know what I mean? Like, when he talks about sports and things and gives his opinion, like, I ain't never have no problem with Stephen A. Smith. My problem was with when he starts talking about real life issues, black issues, and he seems to always take the coon approach, aka the siding with white supremacy, though white supremacy initiated 90% of all black issues that we have to solve for no reason other than to do it and to stay on top and dominate black people. So that's that elephant that nobody in the room, that no one ever wants to speak of. So when you start going into things like how Stephen A. used to do, I love law enforcement and the honorable men of law enforcement. Like, dog, stop bullshitting, yo. You're saying that shit just to appease white people because you know as a black man you can't come out what you already came on the air one time and said, that you got pulled over by a police officer and all you asked him was, officer, what was wrong? What did I do? And he told you, shut the fuck up. So basically, and you know he was white and you know he was a race soldier. But you can't just come out and say that shit. Okay, give me your job. Okay, whatever. So the point I'm tying this into Carcino is he did a video which I showed a little clip of it where he was talking about LeBron James. Now, there's two parts of this that I'm going to talk about that are very, very key, and I want you guys to rock with me on this a little bit. The first part is we're going to stay focused on the whole LeBron James thing. If LeBron James and other athletes that are called African American and or Black American athletes decide to band together in a sport that is dominated by them, that sport would not exist without them in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So if they decided to band together and begin to wrestle power away from European men who still use the term owner in dealing with them, And as a black man, you have a problem with that shit? Like, this the shit I be talking about when you get brothers and sisters who get a decent job somewhere and then his wife has a decent job or little thing that they got going on, so that they got enough money to sit there to have a house or whatever, a nice little home, and live a certain lifestyle. And when they do that, yo, it seems to start turning them into coons. And they even ask questions, so cause I have a nice home, I'm a coon. Like, yo, don't minimize what I'm trying to say to you, yo. Like, what I'm saying to you is turning and having and giving white supremacy a pass. White supremacy has had enough passes throughout the history of this country. They don't deserve any passes. So when you're dealing with black men, anything, I like, who doesn't like sports? And in the sports sense, for Carcino, you are 100% right, because I don't want to be sold some shit, dog, where Kobe and Michael Jordan get to manipulate the entire league, nigga, in a fashion that they get to dominate it and shit like that. Like, no, that's corny, because you're selling me something. You're selling me confrontation on an athletic scale. Combat on an athletic scale, so to speak. So if I'm paying you, dog, for you to perform, for you to provide this, that's what I want you to provide, nigga. I don't want you to pull no staged event. I don't want no House of Consciousness staged WWE event. If I want to see a staged event, I'll go to watch wrestling when they come to town. And I like wrestling. I watch it all the time. But I also know it's staged, but I get wrestling. So basically, I don't understand how you can have a problem with it other than on a sports level. If you're talking about it purely on a sports level, I get what you're saying, and it is what it is. Like, yeah, it is kind of corny. But on a life level, no, that's on a life level, that's coonery. And then you're using terms like collusion and all that. And that's why I said there's two parts of it. The fact that someone could make a video with that much insight to see that collusion, yet you have no insight to see the collusion that goes on with the courtroom system every day. To make a video about that, and you know those court systems are literally eating your people up every fucking day. You have no insight to talk about that collusion. It's collusion for a judge who's supposed to be a judge who is supposed to be a fair and neutral arbiter. That if you clearly ask that motherfucker, who do you work for? And the first person that they're going to say is the state of whatever the fuck that you live in. So then you ask, well, who's bringing this case here against me today? Because it's generally not a victim. And they'll tell you it's the prosecutor or county attorney. State's attorney, city attorney, whatever the fuck term, whatever, wherever you live, whatever they say. And you ask that person, who do they represent? And they'll clearly tell you the county, state, city, or whatever that you're so-called standing in. Because I don't know how you could be standing in a city. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. Maybe tonight. But staying on point, I don't understand how you don't see the collusion in that. How does two people representing the same party, and that party is also the party that's coming against you, and nobody says anything? All people say, well, you did the crime. Then you talk about who makes the laws. The people who make the laws. Who do they represent? The same government faction. So it's like it will behoove them to make sure they do things and make shit make laws and things in a certain manner, whereas you do go to jail. so that you go to jail, so that you make sure you have to go through that court system. And when you go through that court system, they already know what's going to happen because it's their judge. It's their state's attorney. Motherfucker, nigga is their motherfucking defense attorney. Especially if you don't have your own. And even if you do have your own, he swore an oath to uphold the court. And the court is the state, and the state is your adversary. I don't get into funny mumbo jumbo legal jargon when I talk about law. I talk about it the same way I talk about everything else. The same way I say there ain't no way nobody decipher no goddamn metal netter. Like, you're not going to convince me of that because of who actually did this shit. Who, what, when, where, why, how. You need to answer those questions in order. But I just wanted to throw this up there for you guys to look at that, man. I kind of felt that was kind of on a coon level right there, Casino, yo. Like, and if you want to know what a coon is, I'll say and state it again. One who openly talks about the ills of black people as though black people are singularly responsible for their ills. And at the same time, could stand there and defend the people who assisted, and it's a known fact that they assisted in destroying black people and currently do so. So it's not like black people are left alone to their own devices just to rise, nigga. Like, that's not how shit go, and you know it's not how shit go. And just because you chose to do whatever you do, or your woman chose to do whatever she did, and it worked out for you that you have enough money to buy a home or something, like, that don't mean shit, nigga. You still a nigga that they'll shoot down tomorrow the same they would do my sons, the same way they would do somebody else's son. It's the same shit. So I don't understand how you man, a grown ass man older than me, and don't be understanding or see this shit. Like, nigga, I love life, yo. I love traveling. I love going to the park with my family and having fun and things of that nature, nigga. But I also understand, like, what the hell's really going on. And I'm not going to sit there and be knocking black people just like they haven't had 17,000 blocks put in their way while the next person doesn't. I'm not going to sit there and tell my family and tell my children, yeah, I want you to go to an Ivy League school and all this. Why? To be surrounded by degenerate fucking people whose parents have power, because that's all those kids are, is fucking degenerates who have privilege. Like, what the fuck, man? I don't get that shit. But I'm not gonna get too riled up right now, y'all. I'm gonna go back in and get ready for my little live stream tonight. And that's that, yo. I just wanted to share that with you. I'm glad that black men are taking control and taking power out of them fucking old ass white man's hand. They don't belong there anyway. They're just a middleman. They're not needed in the equation.